Welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. In this one, I want to talk about Ivan Grozny. Ivan the Terrible. One of the most important Russian Tsars. One of the most important Tsars in Russian history. And why he is often overlooked, misrepresented, and why perhaps the world needs another Ivan Grozny, another Ivan the Terrible to appear on the scene in order to eradicate all the evil that is now taking place in the world. All those evil actors need to be destroyed. A psychopath of all psychopaths needs to appear to get rid of the psychopaths. Ivan Grozny was like a loose cannon who, through his chaotic, psychopathic nature, destroyed and removed all elements of psychopathy around him in a paradoxical process of state building. This was the genius of Ivan Grozny, Ivan the Terrible. And here he is, Ivan Grozny. Ivan the Terrible. Oh my gosh, a frightening Tsar. I'd like to analyse him here in this video. And I read this book. I read a couple of other books about Ivan Grozny. This one here, actually. So this one was written by Henry Troyat, a famous French biographer. And Ivan Grozny, of course, he was a psychopath, wasn't he? But I think looking at the situation in the West, yes. I mean, there are so many psychopaths at the top of the social hierarchy, in government, where in the places where power resides, at the top of corporations, etc. And all of these people, they're psychopaths. Most of these people, they're psychopaths. These people in suits, yes, who occupy major positions, and they are causing a lot of damage in the world. Inequality is rising. The economy is spiraling, and something needs to be done. These people need to be put to justice. And Gilbates, we know who we're talking about. Gilbates from the Gilbates is one of these psychopaths. Larry Fink, another psychopath. Who else? There's quite a few. All these bankers, yes. Alan Greenspan, psychopath. But I mean, I think he's dead anyway. He's already dead. You get my point, yes? All these minions at the top who think they can dictate our lives. But no. We need an Ivan Grozny to appear on the scene. A psychopath of all psychopaths who will remove all the mini psychopaths in order to bring justice to the world. This is my reflection on Ivan Grozny, my alternative interpretation of the role that Ivan Grozny played in history. And I'd like to go into my article now because I don't remember exactly what I wrote. I wrote this over 2 years ago. So obviously we know a lot about Napoleon. He was a bit of a psychopath as well. a genius but a psychopath. Alexander the Great. I mean, all of these politicians and these political figures, these famous political figures, they were psychopaths, weren't they? Really. So yeah, they're all a bit mad, yes, but in this madness, we can argue that history moves forward. Yes, God works in mysterious ways, as the famous saying goes. So I mean, Ivan Grozny, he was a crazy Tsar, madman. He killed his own son, I believe. I mean, this guy was crazy. I think he was. There's speculation now that he had poison. His brain was poisoned, so he had a lot of mercury in his brain, which caused him to be a bit psychopathic. I mean, this is a scene from the Rubinstein film, I think. I think Rubinstein was the director. Russian director. Eisenstein, sorry, not Rubinstein. Eisenstein, Ivan Grozny. So, I like this. I like this image from the scene, yes, because we can see Ivan Grozny here, and here we can see his shadow, yes, and I like to look at this picture, this image, this scene. So let's go into my article now. So the first self-proclaimed Tsar of Russia, a madman with a complex, intelligent personality, as someone who, in this madness, managed to establish a Russian empire for the first time. And yeah, this means that Grozny has achieved legendary status. I mean, I think Putin will achieve legendary status. Putin changed the course of history. There's a lot of propaganda about Putin. I mean, obviously, Putin is not perfect, but I definitely support Putin more than all these Western politicians, that's for sure. So we got Putin. I guess Stalin as well, psychopath, but he was a key figure in Russian history. He industrialized Russia. He expanded the empire. I mean, thanks to Stalin, Poland obtained the Western lands. Yes, so I mean, obviously Stalin he also caused a lot of damage to Poland. He inflicted a lot of trauma on the Polish nation. But at the same time, we have to remember that thanks to Stalin, we got the Western lands in Poland. Yes, so yes, there's Stalin. Obviously, there's Catherine the Great, perhaps. Many other Tsars, yes. I mean, everyone has their own favorite Russian Tsar, yes. I mean, maybe Ivan Grozny is one of my favorite. Ivan the Terrible. And because he was the first Tsar, I guess for this reason he's quite famous, yes. So he really had a lot of power. He decided everything. He decided who he would reward, who he would punish, based on their virtue and his divine right to rule. So he was crazy, yes. His most interesting reform was that of the oprichnina. So this was actually an interesting move, yes, because if you think about it, it's what we need now, because the current aristocracy in the West and perhaps in other places, they're kind of degenerate. They're all degenerate. They're out of touch with their humanity, with other humans, with other human beings, with society, because their noble status is derived from their hereditary origin. Yes. But what Ivan Grozny did, he in Russia at the time, he totally reorganized the nobility. So he got rid of all of those people who were there simply because of their origin, because of their hereditary origin, and instead he promoted the nobility of low birth. So people who had less money, perhaps who weren't born into privilege, they were promoted in Russia at this time to serve the state's interests. Yes. to execute justice, and to serve God's representative on earth, Tsar Ivan Grozny. And what else? Another interesting aspect of this oprichnina was how it resembled a monastic brotherhood, where the members wore coarse monastic robes and carried long monastic staves, and followed the monastic order imposed by the abbot. In this case, Tsar Grozny himself. So Ivan Grozny, he viewed himself as a monastic. Not only as a Tsar, but as a monastic as well. So he was a crazy madman, paradoxical figure. I mean, obviously he done a lot of evil, but I think he actually he done a lot of good as well, because looking back in hindsight, God works in mysterious ways, and I guess God used Ivan Grozny to build the Russian Empire, yes, and to enact these reforms. So. Ivan Grozny, apparently he was a very religious man. He loved the church services, he loved singing, and he loved the monasteries. And this meant that this oprichnina, it was like a state within a state. So we had in Russia at the time, there was the massive state, obviously, that sprawled across the Russian Empire, across the lands of Russia, and then we had another smaller state within it, which was the oprichnina. Yes. So we see Ivan Grozny's kind of aristocratic nature in a letter to the English Queen, Elizabeth. And here in this letter he wrote that he didn't want to be dependent in any way, either on the merchants or the boyars. This is what the leaders in the West lack at the moment, because merchants, financial interests, the world of finance, these are the dominant powers now. And using Marxist analysis, we can argue that they are having now a negative impact on society. I mean, you can hate Karl Marx as much as you like, and you can disagree with his solutions. Personally, I disagree with his solutions, but when it comes to his analysis of economics, the historical processes, the economic process of capitalism, etc. I mean, you can't deny that he to a degree, Marx was right. Yes, capitalism is not this radical capitalism is not a solution either. I think we can see now that capitalism has morphed into this state corporate model, which is slowly reducing our freedoms, and something needs to be done about this, in my opinion. So yes, in the West, obviously, the power structure is now totally beholden, yes, to the whims of these. Well, they're not even capitalists now. I made a mistake here. To these corporate people, these people involved with the corporate world, these bureaucrats, all of these people, yes, they are the people who have the power, yes. So. Another reform that Ivan Grozny introduced was the Zemstvo reforms in the mid 1500s. This also brought more prosperity to the peasantry and to the commoners. So there's obviously, I mean, of course, from a distance, at first glance, Ivan Grozny, Ivan the Terrible. He was a psychopath. He was crazy. He was a madman, but at the same time, I think he done a lot of good as well. So we shouldn't be so quick to judge, yes. And I mean, personally, for me, he was a very interesting historical figure. But anyway, moving on. When it comes to Grozny's foreign policy, it was he was a trailblazer in this area of politics as well, because he conquered the Muslim state of Kazan. So Kazan is a city to the east of Moscow, a beautiful city. I have a friend from Kazan, a Russian friend, and I want to visit this city one day, Kazan. I want to go and visit it. What else did Grozny do? He expanded into Siberia. So that's key, because Siberia there are so many untapped resources in Siberia, so many resources, and if we extract all of these resources, this could bring so much prosperity to humanity. Because I don't believe in this myth that we're running out of resources, etc. This myth of scarcity is not true. This is an idea pushed in order to induce fear into the population. What else did Grozny do? He opened up diplomatic relations with England and Europe. So that's yeah. He was the first Tsar to do this, I believe. And so imagine now if the West and Russia were able to cooperate on a diplomatic level, and instead of engaging in war, imagine if finally Europe and Russia could cooperate. I mean, we could unleash so much prosperity, yes, for the average citizen. So much freedom, much more freedom for everyone. Everyone would have more money. Everyone could work less, etc. Yes, but unfortunately, we're not entering this process, are we? So yes, I do believe in this idea of free trade. That ultimately free trade it benefits all parties involved. I think in the long run this is true, but I guess I've got this contradiction in my mind, because sometimes I do believe that countries need to protect their key industries, yes, their key assets, because this is a source of power, yes, for the state, for a country, for a given country or a nation. So, and this whole policy of the West towards Russia is firstly, it's not only dangerous, but it's actually stupid, because by doing this Eastern Bloc is forming, yes, China, Russia, India, Iran, and these countries put together, they have a much larger population, they have much more resources at their disposal. And it's only a matter of time it's only a matter of time until they start to dominate, yes, the economic landscape, and by extension, the political landscape. So, that's all I want to say about Russia and the West. Yes, but again, let's move on. Of course, now let's criticize Ivan Grozny. He abused his power. He was a tyrant, wasn't he? He was a tyrant. Ivan Grozny was a tyrant. He was a psychopath, a madman. But I guess always, whenever a country enters the process of state building, this comes with contradictions. Yes. And this is why Ivan Grozny is associated with the contradictions of state building. This is what the biographers wrote in these two books. So yes. I mean, ultimately, Ivan Grozny, because he was so psychopathic and mad, he lost power. He became too tyrannical, too war hungry, which led to greater chaos, and his acts of sadism were shocking, yes. I mean, perhaps some of it is exaggerated. We don't know how much of a sadist he was, yes. Because it's not really based on firm historical evidence, but he was a sadist. I mean, I remember when I began reading this... biography, he would go and hunt bears. Ivan Grozny, he would go and hunt bears. I'm trying to find this now here, but I can read this section for you. He would tear the feathers from birds he caught, put out their eyes, slit their stomachs with a knife, delight in watching the stages by which they died. Standing on the ramparts of the Kremlin fortress, he would whirl young dogs above his head and hurl them down to the courtyard to break their bones. Their plaintive yelps satisfied an obscure need for revenge, as if these were hateful boyars he was putting to death. This was Ivan, heir to the Russian throne. Within a few fearfully short years, he would have the power to take the life of any man in Russia and to possess any woman. This guy was crazy. Oh my gosh. What a sadist. What a psychopath. Maybe there are many psychopaths watching me now. Maybe you will be an Ivan Grozny in the future. Maybe you will be a sadist who will strive to gain power and to impose your will on the political landscape. Oh, Ivan Grozny. Anyway, yes, if Ivan Grozny lived today in the West, this is what Ivan Grozny would do. Yes, if he lived in the West, in his madness, I think he would punish all those complicit in the growing crimes against the citizenry and the state. Gilbates, Klaus Schwab, BlackRock board members such as Larry Fink, Monsanto board members, Pfizer board members such as Alfred Bura, irresponsible bankers, and all those traitors and opportunists in government around the world would feel Ivan Grozny's wrath if he was still here with us today. Ivan Grozny, a super-tyrant, a loose cannon who eradicates the petty ones, the little petty tyrants. And this is why I ended my article with this passage from the Bible, Proverbs 11:10. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy. So that's the end of my short video about Ivan Grozny, the first self-proclaimed Tsar of Russia. We do need some justice in the world now, don't we? We have to speak up. We have to tell the truth. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. I wonder what you think. This was a very controversial video, controversial topic. I painted Ivan Grozny in a more positive light. Obviously, I recognise that he was a psychopath, a madman, but at the same time, I thought he did a lot of good for Russia. Yes, and ultimately, you know, when we fight evil, maybe evil is necessary. Maybe this is true. You need to fight evil with evil, because there are so many evil people out there at the moment. Something has to be done, surely, with this corporate state model that is being built around us, and that is slowly constricting our freedoms. So, this is my interpretation. I might be wrong. I'm speaking from the heart, speaking from the mind. These are my opinions, but yes. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you're a new viewer, like and subscribe. It will help me grow the channel. If you are an existing viewer, like, comment. I wonder what you think about this. Tell me if you agree, if you disagree. I'm very interested, yes? But anyway, once again, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care.